When I see a new affordable lens, I tend to think, here goes another one. But I have used enough of them to know that the bottom of the lens market is improving fast. The pace of innovation that's happening here is relentless. It's a competitive market, and one of the positive results of this pressure is this tiny manual focus lens. In my research I found that it has quite a following amongst street photographers, but that it's not very sharp and doesn't render a high level of detail. Still, that doesn't stop people from using it. A quality photograph doesn't need to be ultra sharp. Sometimes that vintage character makes images more interesting. But that was the old version of this lens. The new one I have here is a little bit faster and a little bit sharper. But a lens like this is never optically perfect, and in some ways the optical performance is pretty bad. But it's the combination of these flaws that make up the character. And that's what people love about it. The Pergear 25mm f1.7 lens was designed for APS-C format cameras, so you will get about 38mm perspective in full frame terms. I used it on the Nikon ZFC, and together they form a compact and versatile street photography combo. This lens features a maximum aperture of f1.7, but most of the time I kept it at f5.6. This way I've got the best optical performance and made it easier to nail focus in dynamic conditions of street photography. Of course, if your goal is to achieve a shallow depth of field, then the fast aperture is nice to have. It will allow you to isolate the subject against blurred backgrounds. This is effective for portraits where subject isolation is the key for enhancing the emotional impact of the image. It's possible if you happen to need it, but I wouldn't use this lens if portrait photography was my bread and butter. Not that I can achieve good results, quite the opposite, but it will be easier with a more upmarket model. Pergear did some good work optimizing this lens optical performance. You may still encounter issues with distortion and chromatic aberration, but this is most common at wide apertures and is another good reason to stop down. You can say that the optical design balances cost and performance, which is typical for this type of affordable lens. It does make the Pergear 25-1.7 well suited for casual and hobbyist photographers, especially if you are not familiar with manual focus. There is something about having complete control over the point of focus. Instead of relying on autofocus, you trust your eye and focus peaking in your camera. It helps that the focus ring is smooth and allows for precise adjustments. But it's essential to practice to achieve accurate focus consistently. More so when focus ring is this small and thin. It's great that the lens is compact and light. It will make your camera compact and unobtrusive, and I like that combination when doing street photography. The lens is so small that I sometimes put my finger in the frame and ruin otherwise a decent photo. The lens is otherwise quite solid. It's made out of metal and feels robust in use. There is no weather sealing, but that is to be expected at this price range. What makes this lens to stand out is the vintage rendering. I quite like most of the images I made with it, despite some being out of focus or in focus but not as sharp as I would expect. You can't expect edge-to-edge sharpness or top-notch macro contrast, but you will get plenty of character. Maybe it's the combination with the Nikon sensor and the way it renders colors, but I quite like the output. And the most I use the lens, the better were the photos coming out. This lens reminded me that all you need for a great photograph is good light, nice subject, and the ability to capture the decisive moment. It's easier to do that with a lens that is easy to use, which the Pergear 25-1.7 is, especially when combined with zone focusing. Some photos I took will be a lot harder to take with an autofocus lens. With zone focus, stop down aperture and auto ISO, I could take photos while walking, and the results were sharp and well exposed. It almost feels wrong to criticize a lens that is so affordable, but if I had to pick one thing, it would be the size. I would like it to be a little bit bigger. Not longer, but beefier. It would look better and the focusing ring would be easier to find with a camera against my eye. And if you are the type of photographer who likes affordable manual focus lenses, you need to watch this video next to learn about the best budget 35mm lens from 7 Artisans.